Welcome to John S. Sports Channel, where we're going League 2 Week 1 review, and it was awful, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, we did really well in the League 1 predictions. We nailed League 1 predictions, getting a huge percentage correct and a really good percentage spot on right with the score as well. So what happened with League 2? Well, it was pretty much a disaster for us. We got 3 right, one of which was a correct score. But that's not very good. Not very good when you look at how well we did in League 1. So what happened then with our score predictions? Newport versus Rochdale first. And what did I say in League 1 predictions? What did I say in League 1 review? In League 1 and 2, playing the possession football tends not to work because you're not gonna tire the opposition out, which is really what we're trying to do in League 1 and 2. They attack so hard and they go at the game from minute 1, and they usually expend their energy within the first 50-60 minutes. And getting to that point and knowing that you have the upper hand with all the game flow, you have the energy left to just control that game for the last 30-40 minutes is essential. And here we had just that same problem that we had with 3 or 4 of the teams in League 1. Newport 3, Rochdale 0, and even if we take away the Belongo sending off on 66 minutes, 67% possession for Rochdale, 5 shots on target with that. Pretty poor. None of those 5 shots were on target. Whereas Newport with just 33% possession, 12 shots, 6 of them on target, 3 in the net. You're not going to beat that, are you? Especially if you're trying to play the possession football in League 2. Won't work. And just to back that up, if you want the stats that do back that up, then for the passing, Rochdale had more than twice as many passes completed than Newport. They were just passing it round at the back and doing a damn good job about it, but not doing anything with the ball. No clear-cut chances. Newport had 3 clear-cut chances and 3 goals. There we are. It says everything, doesn't it? Well, no, because Newport, when the ball came anywhere over head height, you could almost guarantee that Newport were going to get that. They were going to win the aerial duel, whether you liked it or not. They did absolutely brilliantly there. Other than that, it was pretty even. No, it was a Newport game all the way through, with the fact that Rochdale just didn't seem to want to get out of that insistence on trying to get the possession right first, and never actually bothering to make it into a shot. So, not even any block shots, for instance. You can't get past that. So Newport 3, Rochdale 0. We said Newport 2, Rochdale 0. We'll take that. That was a good score. We got the result right, even if we didn't get the score right. And then we go to Oldham versus Port Vale next, and it was Oldham 1, Port Vale 1 we thought it was going to be. Oldham 2, Port Vale 0 is what it was, and it was really rather disappointing that for me, because I thought these two sides were more level than that. I do agree, a lot of you saying it was going to be a draw. Oldham fans saying we've not lost any of our good players. Majority of our good players are still there. And Port Vale fans saying we came down, but we actually had a good squad. And I agree, you did and do have a good squad. And I thought that the two thoughts of fans would really mould together well to make a draw. We were wrong. It was a good game for Oldham in the end. Look, 60% possession by Port Vale. They seemed to try that same trick. But it wasn't that case. They didn't actually get 60% possession by pure knocking the ball around between each other, because their passing was okay. It was on the high side. There was a few extra short passes, but not as much as Rochdale did against Newport. This was more a case of the players actually keeping the ball themselves and trying to work a way through the defence rather than using other people to try and get through it a different way by passing it through. Oldham, on the other hand, with 40% possession, 11 shots, 3 on target. Port Vale, 12 shots, 2 on target. It's just a case of Oldham put 2 of their 3 shots on target in the net, and Port Vale put none of their 2. The passing was okay. Like I said, Port Vale was a little bit better. Port Vale seemed to be working into the corners quite a bit, and they got a lot more corners than Oldham as well in this one. Apart from that, it was a pretty even game. I think if you took away the fact that Port Vale had so much possession, you'd have expected a draw from this one. But it wasn't. It was Oldham 2, Port Vale 0. We thought it was going to be 1-1. Don't get anything like that. Nothing for a draw. Not in this game. Accrington versus Colchester then next, and Accrington 2, Colchester 2 is what it was. We thought it was going to be Accrington 0, Colchester 1. To be honest, this was a bit of a sort of flick a coin and see, because I could see Accrington can do a good game on their day. Colchester can do a good game on their day. And a lot of you were thinking, a draw possibly, but you had equal number of people saying 1-0 either way, so it was really difficult for me, this one. Perhaps I should, with it being so difficult, have gone for a draw. It was a draw. It wasn't a Colchester win. It was a 2-2 draw here, and a draw was probably about right. Let's just put a little bit of meat around that. Accrington managed to get, it was 50-50 possession, but Accrington got 19 shots, 9 of them on target, 2 in the net. I mean, for a lower half or mid-table League 2, that's about average, I suppose. 1 in 4 shots converted, yeah, about that. Colchester, though, with 50% possession, got 7 shots, a lot less. 5 of them on target and 2 in the net. So they were a lot more clinical up front, but just didn't quite get the numbers of shots there. And if you start thinking, well, was it block shots? Well, Accrington had a few block, but not a great deal. Colchester had non-block, so they were actually placing their shots, and that's why they were better with the conversion ratio. They were placing their shots. This is an Accrington side that just wanted to fire, bang, 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 and a Colchester side that didn't want to just fire. They wanted to get into a position and aim that ball at the net. I actually enjoyed the Colchester way of doing it because they were trying to get the goal rather than just firing it like Accrington were. But at the end of the day, it was a 2-2 draw. We said Colchester would win it 1-0. We didn't get anything for that either. Barnet versus Salford next then. And Barnet, what did we say? We said Barnet 1, Salford 3. It was Barnet 3, Salford 1. We couldn't get it any worse, could we? We couldn't get it any worse. Look, loads of people saying tons of goals in here. I mean, yes, you all got it right. There were lots of goals. I totally agree. 90-minute consolation goal for Salford by Aluwu after Tashimange got a 87th minute absolute winner there for Barnet. A lot of people thinking, the Barnet aren't going to do very well. Salford should have flattened them. Look, it wasn't as I think after the previous Saturday's Carabao Cup games, people were actually starting to think that Salford might not be as good as what people were thinking. And also thinking Barnet may actually have a point here. They may be better than what people think. So a lot of you were going both ways, but still putting a lot of goals in this. 1-3, 2-1, 2-2, 4-2, 1-2, 2-2. A lot of goals in it. And there was 3-1 to Barnet. We just got it the wrong way round, didn't we? So we didn't get anything for that. Barnet here, 20 shots, 8 on target, 3 in the net. Dreadful passing. I have to say it was dreadful passing. But when they got the ball, they ran. and they kept the ball really well. It was a good job because their passing wasn't very good at all. Salford's passing was a little bit better, not brilliant, but a little bit better. 14 shots, 3 on target, 1 in the net. Barnet were making chances, and they were making sure they made chances. Yeah, there were a fair few blocked shots in this on both sides, so it tended to be, we could see the goal, let's shoot. Not one for the connoisseur, and again, both sides really not really giving me the excitement that a neutral would want in this game. Not one for the connoisseur. It was Barnet 3, Salford 1. We thought it was going to be Barnet 1, Salford 3. Nothing for that one. Nothing for a draw. Not in this game. So, joke's over. We go to my side here. And it's the Cheltenham Rotherham United game. Now, you lot, I went with you lot. Remember, I said I'm not going to predict my side. So, what did you say? 1-2, 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, 0-1, and one person said 3-1. So, I went with the 0-2. I went with Cheltenham 0, Rotherham 2, because you lot said I should. And I finished by saying the one person who said 3-1. Watch it. You're probably going to be right. So, we said Cheltenham 0, Rotherham 2. It was Cheltenham 2, Rotherham 1. That person who said 3-1, you nearly got it spot on. That was a brilliant piece of prediction there. And you nearly got it. You really nearly got it. And you should have done, because Rotherham played the possession game. At one point, they had almost 70% of the possession. 19 shots, 5 on target, 1 in the net for Rotherham. Out of eventually getting 60% possession, they just died in the second half. Cheltenham, though, 40% possession, 6 shots, 4 on target, 2 in the net. How about that? And Sean McWilliams, the old Rotherham player, made that first goal down the wing, crossed it in the back of the net. I hate ex-Rotherham players. And Rotherham's passing was just stupendous. I mean, we kept the ball brilliantly. But like I said earlier, possession game doesn't work in League 1 and 2. So why did we try it? It failed. So, hopefully we'll realise that doesn't work. So we said, what did we say? We said Cheltenham 0, Rotherham 2. It was Cheltenham 2, Rotherham 0. Another one with nothing as we go to Chesterfield versus Fleetwood Town. This is another one that really got me because I could see I actually like Fleetwood, and I do think that Fleetwood they keep getting 1 or 2 really good players, and then they sort of let them go there. Well, they have to let them go. And I just think it's about time that they got a little bit of luck in this league. Chesterfield, Fleetwood. We said Chesterfield 2, Fleetwood 1. It was actually Chesterfield 0, Fleetwood 1. So we got the Fleetwood goal right, but we didn't get Chesterfield getting 0. We thought they were going to get 2. 35 minutes, Ched Evans as well. So, they have got a goal scorer, and a good one at that. So we should now be thinking, will this work? Well, look at this. Remember what I've just said about Rotherham and the team early, Rochdale, wasn't it? 67% possession for Chesterfield. Yes, a massive amount of passing. Absolutely massive. But the difference here is that Chesterfield didn't just pass it at the back end. They managed to get it forward. 67% possession, 16 shots at goal, 3 of them on target, none in the net. And quickly go to Fleetwood, 33% possession. They nearly equalled them on shots, 14. 7 of those 14 on target, 1 in the net. They might have been disappointed. They only won 1-0. Passing for Fleetwood, pretty dire. Passing for, like I said, for Chesterfield was just amazing. It was really, really good. And don't say that all those shots were blocked, because they weren't. There was very, very few blocked shots in this one. Very few indeed. Tackling, I tell you what, let's just make a mention of that, because Fleetwood's tackling was just that little bit more perfected. It was a little bit more classy and a little bit more thought out when they went into it, whereas Chesterfield just seemed to just fly into it. So Fleetwood had a better tackling, not as good passing, but they made the most of them with the ball. How can you have 16 shots out of 67% possession and only get 3 of them on target and none in the net? Chesterfield, that was dire when you think how much you should have got from this game. Look, I enjoyed the gameplay from Chesterfield. It just needed to get more from it. What did we say there? We said Chesterfield 2, Fleetwood 1. It was Chesterfield 0, Fleetwood 1. So again, we get nothing for it. Most of you were saying, I mean, somebody did say 3-1 to Fleetwood. I'll give you a star for that one. Crawley versus Crewe next. And again, you know, we thought it was going to be 0-0. A lot of people here thinking none, one, or at the maximum 2 goals in the Crawley Crewe game. Unfortunately, it wasn't 0-0. It was Crawley 0, Crewe 1, and here we had 3 red cards. Yeah, 3 red cards. 51 minutes, Gordon for Crawley. Ebowai on 64 for Crawley. And 85th minute, Demetrio for Crewe. And Crewe won it on 90 plus 5 minutes. I mean, perhaps it should have been 0-0, guys. So what was the actual game like? Well, Crewe actually did do very, very well. The gameplay was about even. However, 18 shots for Crewe and 9 shots for Crawley does show you what this game was about. It seemed to be about getting into that front end, using average passing. I mean, the passing ability was okay. It was decent. It certainly wasn't bottom half. It was a very decent mid-table performance as far as passing was concerned. Look, there were a fair few clear-cut chances here, but neither of them really took any of those really clear-cut chances. Crewe tending to go down the side and they got a lot more corners, Crewe, and it was very evident that they were trying to get it down and cross it in, but and it did work eventually. But you know, this game really could have been a draw had it not been for the fact that the Crewe, for me, just made sure they got the ball in the box and had a shot twice as many times as what Crawley did. If they had a little bit more clinical ability up front, Crewe could nail this league with a game like that. They didn't in this game. What do you think, Crawley fans and Crewe fans? Am I right or am I wrong? Comment down below. Either way, and we'll learn for the next game. So yeah, Crawley 0, Crewe 1 was the score. We said 0-0. You don't get anything there again. So who's next then for the whitewash? Gillingham versus Walsall. Now, again, we managed to get one right this time. At least we get the correct result, if not the right score. We said Gillingham 0, Walsall 1. It was Gillingham 0, Walsall 3. 0-1, 1-0, 0-1, 0-1, 1-3, 0-0. The person who said Gillingham 1, Walsall 3, get a pat on the back, because I tell you what, that was the only person I collected who said this was going to get more than 1 goal. Absolutely the only person. So you did really well. If you're watching, get a pat on the back and a gold star. Gillingham versus Walsall then, and you know, I'm like everybody else, I really didn't think there was going to be many goals in this one. Walsall just edged it on possession, but you couldn't really. I think that's where the stats don't really tell anything about this game. It really wasn't. It didn't really seem that so much one-sided to me. It seemed about even, and the number of shots were pretty much even. 18 for Walsall, 18 for Gillingham, 19 for Walsall. So the effort they put in was about right. It was about the same. I'd say, look, the passing was slightly better from Walsall, but not a huge amount. And of those 18 from Gillingham, 7 were on target, none in the net. That would have been disappointing. Walsall's 19 got 6 on target and 3 in the net. So they would have been coming out feeling that was absolutely brilliant. And it was just the clinical abilities at the end. Absolutely just the clinical abilities. Nothing else. And everything else is pretty much about the same. Everything else about this game was pretty much 50-50 for me anyway. What did you think? Do you think that's about a right analogy? Give me a like and subscribe. Tell me down below. So we said Gillingham 0, Walsall 3. It was, so we said Gillingham 0, Walsall 1. It was Gillingham 0, Walsall 3. We get a correct result, not a correct score. As we move to Grimsby versus Exeter next, and Grimsby versus Exeter. Now we'd looked at the games at the weekend, the cup games, and a lot of us thinking there's either going to be like one goal or there's going to be a goal rush in this, and we seem to get one. People were saying either one or the other. For instance, somebody said Grimsby 1, Walsall 3, and then we went with Grimsby 1, Exeter 0. So I said Walsall, Exeter. So Grimsby. Grimsby 1, Exeter. Why keep saying the Walsall? Grimsby 1, Exeter 3. Different part of the country. Come on. And we thought, well, we'll go with Grimsby 1, Exeter 0. Because I think it's going to be one of those where there's not many goals. It was only one goal, but and we actually got it right. Grimsby 1, Exeter 0. So we actually get this one right. Well done. Pat on the back, everybody who said Grimsby 1, Exeter 0. Even though I can't remember. I'm reading the one above. Stop it. I'm trying to go quick. That's the problem, isn't it? So what happened in this game? Well, it was exactly the same as that. Look, it's about 50-50 in possession. The gameplay was good. The passing was good from both sides. 21 shots by Grimsby, 4 on target, 1 in the net. They would have been a bit gutted at 21 and only get 4 on target. But for Exeter, 8 on target, 8 shots, 2 on target, and none in the net. And that's it, basically. It really is. There weren't that many block shots. Grimsby, look, some of those 21 were blocked. So Grimsby not placing the ball quite as often as I would have liked. They were just blasting it at the defence that Exeter seemed to like, get everybody back. Let's park the bus. But Grimsby did find a way past once. And that's all you need in this game, isn't it? So Grimsby 1, Exeter 0. To get the name right. Sorry about that, Exeter and Walsall fans. We get a correct score. Thank you very much. Northampton versus Swindon. I'm not going to live that one down, am I? I didn't the last time I got something wrong like that. I got trounced in the comments. Northampton, Swindon. All about trying to go quick, isn't it? Northampton 2, Swindon 0 is where we went. And we thought, like most people, there's going to be goals in this. There's going to be goals. Northampton can score, and they came down with a good side. Really, they didn't. They're a bit meh near the end, but they have still got a good side, good core side in there. And Swindon, well, they can score as well. Well, it was 0-0, wasn't it? Northampton 0, Swindon 0. And was it a ball draw? Well, there's only 3 shots on target in the entire game for both sides added together. Northampton had 3 on target. Swindon had none. Good passing, actually. I will say both teams had some good passing. But it never, ever really seemed to lead to anything. If we were going for a passing game, it's brilliant. If we were going for excitement and block shots and not really the game to have been seeing. In fact, it's probably one of those almost boring 0-0s. Not quite, but almost boring 0-0s. If anybody could have won this one, it was probably Northampton because they were going down the side and crossing it in, and they might have been able to get 1 or 2 of those across the. I think there were several corners, for instance, 10 corners for Northampton and 1 for Swindon. And should have done better with at least 1 or 2 of those corners, I think. But in the end, 0-0. We said it was going to be 2-0 to Northampton. You don't get anything for this game either. As we go to Tranmere versus Shrewsbury Town. Now, we said it was going to be Tranmere 0, Shrewsbury 1. Because a lot of Shrewsbury fans saying we can change it this year. You're thinking we're going to be down at the bottom, trounced, and we're not. But a lot of Tranmere fans thinking, we're not going to be where people think we are. We're going to be a lot better. A lot of people are saying goals. Somebody said 3-3. Somebody else said 2-2, 1-3, 0-3, 2-1. There's goals in them hills here. We went for Tranmere 0, Shrewsbury 1. It was Tranmere 2, Shrewsbury 0. And Shrewsbury really did a good game here. They didn't overkill the game with possession. 57% possession. Not too much. They did allow Tranmere to have the ball. And it almost worked. They only had Tranmere 43% possession, 7 shots, 4 on target, but they got 2 in the net. And that's the thing. Shrewsbury did a good game. The game plan was good. They played good football. The passing was better. 15 shots, 5 on target, but none in the net. The clinical side of this really stuck in your throat at the end. Shrewsbury fans would have been thinking, get it in there, but we can't do anything with it. Much like the Rotherham fans were thinking. And it could have been, it should have been at least a draw from a Shrewsbury thought point of view, I think. But Tranmere deserved it in the end. They managed to be more clinical up front. As simple as that. So Tranmere versus Shrewsbury 0-1. We said 2-0 it was. Nothing for this game either. So let's go to the last game here. And it's York City versus Bristol Rovers. Now, this was a game and a half, wasn't it? Bristol Rovers 30 minutes and 78 minutes penalty. York City 60 minutes, 63 minutes and 80 minutes with a brace from Harry Boys. This York City side have shown that they can really score, can't they? York City 3, Bristol Rovers 2. And there was so much song and dance for the Bristol fans. I'm thinking they could win this one. But York City fans were equally as adamant that they were going to win. So a couple of you said 1-1, so we went York City 1, Bristol Rovers 1. Sat on the fence. Perhaps we shouldn't. Well, no, it was neat. Look, it could have been 3-3 quite easy, couldn't it, this game? York City 3, Bristol Rovers 2. So we almost got the draw. We nearly got the draw. But I'll tell you what, this is where things get, again, interesting and for a reason. York City got 70% possession. They were playing the ball around brilliantly. Look, they had the ball way over twice as... they made way over twice as many passes as Bristol Rovers. They had the ball, they kept it, they passed it well. 16 shots from that 70% possession. But they allowed Bristol Rovers to get 13. 16 shots, 6 on target, 3 in the net. That was good, a good conversion rate. 13 shots for Bristol Rovers from 30% possession is pretty good. 3 on target is okay for a bottom half team, but that's not where they're wanting to be. 3 on target, 2 in the net is good conversion, but they really should be getting more than 3 out of 13 if they're wanting to be in the top 10. Passing as well for Bristol Rovers was pretty dire, and I didn't like the passing at all. And the shots that they did have, Bristol Rovers, seemed to be quite often blocked because they weren't placed as a target at goal. We're not going to see the goal, place it there and kick it. We're just going to look at the ball, kick it somewhere in the direction of the goal, and of course it gets blocked on its way in. Not very clinical, not very well thought out. Look, they did. I'll give them their due. When a ball came above head height, Bristol Rovers did tend to win the ball. They did tend to win it on air when it came down to headers. But apart from that, it was all York City. So York City 3, Bristol Rovers 2. I would say that they did a really good control job here. Not just keeping possession, because that doesn't tend to work, but they kept possession in a way that they ensured they kept possession and pushed it up into that final third whilst doing so, which is one of the things you have to do. But they also allowed Bristol Rovers to have the ball so they could tire them out a bit, and I think that really did work here. So York City 3, Bristol Rovers 2. We said 1-1. Our final game didn't quite work. What do you think? If you like what we do, then please do like and subscribe. I'll give you some more. The prediction video will be out later this week. Do like and subscribe to John S. Sports channel.